pink mist rose in Mayumi Takeuchi's eyes. In her eyes, Yang Shinshin became the only person in the world she could trust and rely on. She would even give up her life for her. He cannot be killed. Even if there's only a drop of blood, he can regenerate. To kill him, you have to drain all of his origin. But it would take at least 10,000 deaths to do so. This statement silenced everyone. Kill Phoenix Ren 10,000 times? Zhang Yi's space ability was currently unable to be used, and no one else could kill Phoenix Ren even once. Besides this, is there any other way? Yang Shinshin asked calmly. Yes. Let him destroy himself, Mayumi Takeuchi said seriously. The only one who can destroy him is himself. Fatty Su furiously pulled his hair. Isn't this nonsense? He's not out of his mind. Why would he do that? Zhang Yi slowly got up. He threw away the cigarette butt in his hand and stamped it out. I understand. Let's do it this way. The crowd looked at Zhang Yi in surprise. Captain, do you have an idea? More or less, it's worth a try. Zhang Yi looked at Mayumi Takeuchi and smiled. If we can control her, we'll win half the battle. In the middle of the battlefield, Phoenix Ren was putting the Tengu squad under immense pressure. In the blink of an eye, he had killed 2 people. If it wasn't for Bai Li Changqing and Liang Yu blocking his way with their lives, none of the others would have been able to survive his attack. But in the next instant, Phoenix Ren suddenly felt a marked change in his vision. Something had been stripped away from his body. He froze for a moment before realizing that he could no longer see the future. Huh? What's going on? Why can't I read the direction of their attacks? It seems that I've forgotten something very important. Phoenix Ren pondered for a long time before he realized what he had forgotten. He had a partner before, whose name seemed to be Takeuchi. Mayumi? Phoenix Ren. A somewhat familiar voice came from the air, attracting Phoenix Ren's attention. He looked up and saw a face he hated. Zhang Yi. Phoenix Ren's expression became hideous, and he let out a roar as he looked up at the sky. Then he bent slightly, gathered his strength, and soared up like a cannonball. Zhang Yi quickly dodged in the air with his flying device. Then he raised the thunderstrike in his hand and aimed at Phoenix Ren. Do you think you can kill me with this? Phoenix Ren sneered, as Zhang Yi's bullets could not catch up to his movements. After landing, he got up again to kill Zhang Yi. However, a deafening gunshot swept through the air, and Phoenix Ren's body was pierced by a huge force, and he fell to the ground. Before he died, he still couldn't figure out how Zhang Yi had managed to hit him. Zhang Yi stood in the air, with streaks of blood running across his body. Mayumi Takeuchi's special ability given by blood was now active in his body. He could see 5 seconds into the future of Phoenix Ren, and could therefore judge his movements in advance and attack. Phoenix Ren was dead, and his body was burning rapidly, preparing for the next resurrection. The members of the Tengu squad seized the opportunity to quickly rush forward, and then took out a special jet gun from their bodies. Streaks of white smoke began to jet at his corpse. It was liquid nitrogen, which could quickly reduce the temperature to more than -100 degrees Celsius and even freeze cells. This was the method the Tengu squad had come up with to deal with Phoenix Ren. By freezing his cells, they might be able to keep him on the border between life and death, unable to come back to life. Under the cooling effect of the large amount of liquid nitrogen, Phoenix Ren's body was frozen into a white ice sculpture. It's okay, just do it a few more times. Zhang Yi was not at all panicked. The ability, given by blood, had allowed him to see the future, and even without the power of space, he could kill Phoenix Ren. Phoenix Ren resurrected once again. I'm going to kill you now. Zhang Yi reloaded his gun. It's okay, just a couple more times, he said with confidence. Phoenix Ren rushed towards Zhang Yi. The bullet touched his fast-moving body in the air, as if Phoenix Ren had deliberately gone to catch the bullet. And his body was torn apart again. Phoenix Ren was still laughing maniacally before he died. You can't kill me, you can't kill me. Zhang Yi looked at his falling body indifferently. I can't kill you, but you can. flower quickly galloped from afar, its back carrying Yang Shinshin and Mayumi Takeuchi. Behind Yang Shinshin, the Angel of Desire drew its bow and nocked an arrow of hate aimed at Phoenix Rin. You have to hit him as soon as he restores his body. Mayumi Takeuchi reminded her seriously. Thank you. Yang Shinshin smiled. She aimed accurately, and just as Phoenix Rin restored his body, the arrow of hate pierced his sturdy chest. Hate yourself, Phoenix Rin. Phoenix Rin had just been resurrected, and he felt an arrow in his chest. There was no pain, but he inexplicably felt a strong sense of crisis. An uncontrollable feeling of self-loathing welled up from the deepest part of his heart. He widened his eyes and looked down at his chest in shock. There was no wound, but his heart was aching incredibly violently. He recalled his entire life. Since childhood, he had been a born villain. He loved violence and cruelty, and killing stray cats and wild dogs on the street was his greatest joy. This sadistic personality was well concealed from his parents and relatives. But emotions, the longer they are suppressed, the more powerful they rebound. And the arrival of the end of the world finally freed him from all constraints, and he began to face his true self head-on. The first person he killed was his wife, who mocked him all day long for not being able to earn enough to support the family. After the first killing, it took him less than a minute to get used to the trembling in his heart and become excited. From then on, he was unstoppable on the path of killing. He killed too many people. To reward himself, he deliberately put on a backpack after the end of the world and started going to the places he had been in his life. Then, he killed each and every one of the people who had had a past grievance with him. The elementary school teacher who had scolded him, the neighbor whose family he had been in a dispute with, the female college student on the subway who had falsely accused him of peeping, the president of the company where he worked. It was a very thick death note. He called it the 100 people I want to kill after the end of the world. And indeed, he killed everyone he could. At this moment, Phoenix Rin felt excruciating pain in his chest. He covered his chest and gasped for breath. He breathed heavily, his eyes filled with tears, and he cried out in pain, "What have I done? How could I kill so many people? This sin cannot be forgiven even if I die 100 times. I'm sorry for being born a human." Yang Shinshin's voice drifted from afar. You don't need 100 times, one death is enough. She frowned, her face full of disgust. You filthy pig, lowly mutant chicken, hurry up and die. Phoenix Rin had already lost all motivation. His mind was completely taken over by one crazy thought, death. I shouldn't be living in this world anymore. After saying this, he slowly closed his eyes, and then his legs gave out and he fell to his knees on the broken battlefield. Just kill me. Having given up, Phoenix Rin was no longer using the power of the phoenix, and was no different from an ordinary person. At this moment, Zhang Yi had quietly injected himself with Compound 2. The effects of the drug temporarily enhanced his power, and even the space that was on the verge of collapsing was temporarily stopped from falling apart. Everyone in the combat center was standing up excitedly, just like everyone else at the scene. Hurry, kill him. Kill him and it'll all be over. Zhu Jing said impatiently. This matter must come to an end, otherwise as commander of the Jiangnan region, he would not be able to explain himself to anyone. Everyone in the command center was staring at the screen with anticipation and some nervousness. Okay, I'll help you. Zhang Yi opened the dimensional space and the Holy Judgment Sword appeared in his hands. Looking at Phoenix Rin, who had kneeled down on the ground and begged for death, the eyes of everyone present were filled with both hatred and eagerness. They hated what he had done. But they were also eager, because not only would slaying him be a great honor, it would also be extremely beneficial. Who wouldn't want a powerful origin of captain level? That was why Zhang Yi had injected Compound 2. After being betrayed by someone in Blizzard City, he now mistrusts everyone, even the members of the Tengu squad around him. There's a difference in status between these people and him. Now that the mission to encircle and attack Eclipse Moon has been completed, they have lost the basis for cooperation. Therefore, Zhang Yi has to be on guard against them trying to seize Phoenix Ren's origin. Fortunately, the others are not stupid. Although they are eager to obtain Phoenix Ren's origin, they will not make a move at this time. After all, Zhang Yi's strength is there for all to see. Zhang Yi walked step by step until he was 500 meters away from Phoenix Ren. His pace was firm but slow, and he did not become careless because victory was within his grasp. As the saying goes, he who travels 100 miles is only halfway there. He could not afford to make any mistakes now. After reaching the sniping range of the twofold gates, he immediately opened the two doors. Then, using the traversal ability of the twofold gates, he swung his horizontal sword quickly. Pop! Phoenix Ren's head was thrown high into the air and then fell to the ground. Everyone held their breath. The more tense they got, the more nervous they became. Zhang Yi waited for 10 seconds and then turned back to Yang Xinxin and said, "Ask the woman in neon, how do we confirm that he is dead?" Yang Xinxin looked at Mayumi Takeuchi. Mayumi Takeuchi, who had become her loyal dog, confessed honestly, his ability will be activated the moment he dies. And now that he hasn't resurrected, it means that he hasn't used his ability and is truly dead. In any case, Phoenix Ren is dead. This also announces the victory of Blizzard City's campaign against Eclipse Moon. An intense cheer broke out. All the members of the Tengu squad had tears in their eyes, and they looked up at the sky, crying and laughing at the same time. They had suppressed their emotions for far too long. It had also put them under a lot of pressure. The combat center also erupted in excited cheers. Zhu Jing, who usually looks serious, let out a relaxed smile and settled back in his chair. Zhang Yi, this kid, didn't let me down after all. Behind him, his bodyguard Sun Luxuan, who was wearing old-fashioned glasses, was speechless. He thought to himself, it seems that from the beginning, you didn't expect him to do so well, did you? He turned his head to look at the big screen, where Zhang Yi picked up the head of Phoenix Ren. Sun Luxuan couldn't help but smile at the corner of his mouth, and nodded in secret. This kid is indeed a good talent. His potential may be even stronger than some of the investigation squad captains in Blizzard City. Zhu Jing was in a good mood at the moment. However, he had not yet fallen to the point of being arrogant and complacent. Suddenly, he thought of something. Zhang Yi just told me something. He said that Gao Changkong is an undercover in Blizzard City. Zhu Jing frowned. Why would Zhang Yi say that? Gao Changkong has no reason to cooperate with Eclipse Moon, does he?